to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John, they're the ones to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
BJ Show for Wednesday, Hump Day. Remember when Shelley used to say, how would she say it, John?
Hump Day?
I think it was more like Hump Day. You got the wrong emphasis there, the wrong accent. Try it one more time, John.
Hump Day?
It's close. Anyway, it's Wednesday.
Brad, you know what? Just me trying feels courageous because it is. You know where that line's from?
Could it be from our friend, your friend and mine, Jess Luther, who if I had problems, she would be there to help me out. But, because we're trying to help them out, right? Was that Turnabout Fair Play or whatever?
Yeah, and Brad, I don't mean to pull a Brad Hildebrand and get us off track here, but I did something quite rare yesterday. I went to your Facebook page.
Yeah.
And I looked for the thread where people didn't understand your sarcasm, and it was golden. I saw people, Brad, who clearly know you,
yes,
and who I assume you have a long-standing relationship, who absolutely did not get your sarcasm. And I saw a gentleman, using the term loosely, suggested you were a commie.
Yes, wasn't that funny?
How does anybody who knows Brad Hildebrand again, yesterday, we talked about this yesterday, Brad. Sometimes you wonder if it's a work or a shoot, like if you're pretending or if you're being serious. But Brad, how could someone read your original post and not get that that's so Brad Hildebrand?
Well, it's sort of funny. Matter of fact, the guy that I said I was going to kick his donkey is a guy I went to high school with. And there's actually a funny story behind that because of the fact that he ends up on my Facebook page one day. I haven't talked to this guy since probably the day we graduated from high school, which is decades ago. And I put like a little sort of a tongue-in-cheek comment on his Facebook page about the fact, now keep in mind, after he graduated, he became a teacher, so, but then he got tired of that and he actually worked for Anheuser-Busch, but, he lost his sense of humor when he became a teacher. You know that, John. Anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, he told me that, and I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of him because he was an athlete and he still, after all these years, he still looks damn good. He was going to beat the you-know-what out of me, and I'm going like, he doesn't understand that I'm kidding. And what's funny is the same guy shows up on my Facebook page and accuses me of TDS. Was he the guy that called me a commie? Somebody else called. Was he called?
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but I just don't understand how someone can... I get so disappointed when people with whom I agree politically, like people I consider my allies, don't understand sarcasm. And then in this case, this guy just suggested you were a communist and was like, yeah, and NPR should pay for their own stuff. And you and your commies should go back to, and it's like, talk about missing the point.
Yes.
It was incredible, Brad.
You know what? To me, sarcasm is like nirvana for me because of the fact that it's exactly what you say. The people that get it, and the people that don't get unhinged. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Brad, it feels courageous because it is.
Like you haven't seen my video from yesterday, have you?
Was it? No, I have not seen the video from yesterday. I don't think you put it on YouTube, did you?
No, I don't. I forgot to. That one's even better because of the fact that, once again, one of my Facebook radio friends points out the fact that I claim I don't know what religious organization is suing me, but yet I'm standing in front of their building with their sign clearly visible, and it's sort of funny. Okay, anyway.
I got us into weaving and bobbing and weaving. I'm sorry, Brad.
Yeah, okay, John. Well, you know what? Since this has been such good radio, I'm going to write a story on Radio Poop about it, so we'll put that on there. Okay, this is John Combest. That's the guy you're hearing right there. You can check out his website, johncombest.com. Let me try that again, johncombest.com, C-O-M-B-E-S-T. Every single day for 23 years. How many days have you missed in those 23 years, John?
0.0.
And for those of you who don't know the gag, that's a what's the movie? My mind's blank right now. Animal House, which was based on a fraternity at your alma mater. You know that story, correct?
Yeah. We talked about it on the show. My fraternity was the bad guys.
Right. And it was actually your fraternity?
Yeah, part of our secret fraternity ritual is shown in the movie.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we discussed this on the show back in 2024, Brad.
John, you know what? I'm an old guy. I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
I know.
This
I
morning.
should stop pointing out when we're recovering topics. But yeah, the bad guys in the movie were based on my fraternity at WashU.
So there you got a little bit of information there. And because Harold Ramis went to WashU, wasn't that story where he went to WashU?
That's true. He did.
Right. Okay. And he's dead now, isn't he? He died, didn't he?
I don't know, Brad. That reminds me of something I thought we should do for the show. You and I should do a feature where we take local personalities from the olden days,
right,
and then we try to guess if they're dead or alive.
Well, remember when I did the Bob Frischman interview? He said he thought I was dead. Remember that?
Yeah, but remember, Brad, according to your kayfabe age, you were born in 1935.
1935.
And then you died in 1953. And I got us off track on Animal House, Brad.
No. I went to high school in 1953. I didn't die in 1953.
Oh, that's right.
I went to high school in 1953. And John, one morning, I think a couple weeks ago, said, there was no Hazelwood School District in 1953.
I did, but I said it in an even dumber voice than that.
And I pulled it up that the Hazelwood School District was reorganized from 6 districts and started in 1949. Take that, John. Okay, anyway, John puts together this great website. See, Bob and Weave. He puts together his great website. And what we do is we start the show off with this guy.
I'm Casey Kasem.
And we count down of all the things on John's website. We do the top 3. And we start with...
In third place...
Hey, speaking of going back in history, one of the topics that we have discussed over and over again is the ongoing legal saga about stacking marijuana taxes. And that long-running controversy, that long-running dispute was finally solved yesterday, Brad, once and for all. The supreme ruling body, the Missouri Supreme Court, has weighed in on stacking marijuana taxes. And they have sided with, drum roll, they have decided to rule with the marijuana industry.
Really?
In other words, Brad, a county like St. Louis County may not stack an additional 3% tax on top of a municipality's tax. In other words, Brad, the court has ruled that a county can collect their own tax in an unincorporated area, but a county cannot stack an additional tax on top of a municipality. So finally, Brad, we get a little bit of clarity here. There's 2 pieces that I would point people to in particular. The first one is from Jason Rosenbaum at St. Louis Public Radio. The second one is from Jake Crozen at the Missouri Times. And I will get to the money quote right now, Brad, from St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman. He was disappointed in the decision, but says he would respect it. And here's his line. You could play the game, is this Steve Ellman or is it Brad Hildebrand? Here's the quote. One thing this shows is how we need to stop putting everything that comes along into the state constitution. Had this been just a regular law passed by voters, then the legislature could have come back and fixed the question of who can do the tax. But instead, we find ourselves bound by a final decision from the Missouri Supreme Court.
And John,
that sounds a lot like what my friend Brad Hildebrand has been saying for months, actually years, about this topic. So Brad, it's good news for the cannabis industry. A little bit less taxation on your drive-through cannabis.
Now, you know what's interesting about this? You know what? There's an interesting aspect of this, which John is a very smart guy, but he hasn't thought of this. And
oh, I haven't. What is it, Brad?
Good old Uncle Brad. Okay, who came out and said that? Who was the guy that came out and said? Well, who's the main?
Go ahead, Brad.
No,
is it Dr. Brad Bradshaw?
No. The person you just mentioned. I want you to reiterate. What is his position now? He's the St. Charles County Executive.
You're exactly right, Brad.
And his name is what again now?
Steve Ellman.
And he's complaining that when we modify our Constitution with these amendments that are put on there by these groups, out-of-town groups with millions and millions of dollars, that's causes problems?
Yeah, now, Brad, who would you blame for this, Brad?
Bill Eigel.
No way!
Yes.
And for folks who don't listen every day, why do you think Bill Eigel is to blame for this,
Well,
Brad?
Bill Eigel and all the nutbag, weirdo patriot, what do they call themselves? The Patriot Caucus or the Freedom Caucus?
The Freedom Caucus.
Because, John, every year, they start off matter of fact, it'll be coming up in a few months. They'll be, we're going to be in Jefferson City in January. And these are senators and representatives, Republicans from the Nutbag Caucus. And we're going to make sure that we get rid of this terrible thing where people can modify our Constitution with just a 50% and a feather vote. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to rein in we're going to do IP reform. And then at the end of the session, guess what never happens because of the Nutbag Caucus, John? Guess what never happens?
You would say that initiative petition changes don't pass, and you would blame the Freedom Caucus for that.
Bob Onder, Bill Eigel, Ricky Schroeder. Who else am I missing? Come on. I mean, there's still a couple of Adam
Those
Schnelting.
folks, and Brad, let's be fair, because we know that you won't be. The Freedom Caucus would point out back in 2024 that they were pushing for initiative petition changes, and they would blame other folks. For example, Cindy O'Loughlin. They would point fingers at Mary Elizabeth Coleman, some other folks in the Senate, and they would say that it was the fault of other senators that initiative petition changes did not pass.
I don't even know where to start from all of the things that have been said that are just wrong.
See, John, you're
Boy, Brad, to quote every one of your girlfriends, you have a quick trigger. That was very good, though. So, Brad, let's not step on the story too much with just 7 minutes left in the segment. But we finally got a little bit of resolution here. And as it turns out, counties can only tax in areas that do not have a municipality. Now, unless I read this incorrectly, Brad, this is saying that counties can only tax in unincorporated areas. And for example, if a municipality, let's say Chesterfield, had not already passed a marijuana tax, St. Louis County could not levy a tax in that municipality, even if Chesterfield had not yet passed a tax. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, a county only has jurisdiction for cannabis taxes in an unincorporated area.
Right, which is like where you and I grew up, Spanish Lake area, which is unincorporated.
You're exactly right, Brad.
Right. Okay, now, question for you, though, on this. Did they already take the money? Have these people, has people, and I don't buy marijuana, so I wouldn't know, have people already paid this tax in? Is going to be refunded to the people that, or did they never actually put that tax on the tab when you went to buy your dope?
No, I think the cash has been collected, and my assumption here, Brad, and I could be wrong, but my assumption is the ruling starts now.
Oh, okay. Well,
there's no way to go back and claw back that money that has already been taxed.
I thought it was going to be like a Dave Schatz thing where you had to stand on your head and spin around 3 times and wear your shoes on the wrong feet and send in like a coupon from a 1952 gelatin offer that was on the back of one of their packages. and
then actually you have to actually mail in your Eagle stamps as well.
Right, and that's how you get your money back.
And that's how you get a rebate. Now, when we talk about, Brad, one of the important things is you talk often, as do a lot of pro-life folks, about a ton of money that came in for cannabis and abortion issues that came in from out of state. And that leads nicely into story number 2.
Their stories coming up. One
God, I'm fat-fingered and I hit 2 wrong keys. Let me just try that again. Here we go again.
up a notch to number 2.
The Marc Cox Morning Show, which is available right now at 97.1. If you're listening, don't turn that dial if you're listening live. But if you're not listening live, you can go to my website today and find a link to the Marc Cox Morning Show. Denny Hoskins, Secretary of State, was on Marc's show yesterday talking about the pro-life ballot initiative coming in 2026. Now, Denny touched on a number of topics here on the pro-life side about why this measure is necessary. Brad, you and I have beat this to death because you and I disagree on it. You say Republicans should leave it alone and not touch the abortion law. I say give voters another chance to weigh in on a more reasonable abortion initiative. So I don't think we need to beat that to death again today. However, Denny points out the fact that a lot of money comes in from out of state. he actually pointed to Senate Bill 152, which came from Senator Ben Brown, to ban very clearly foreign nationals donating to Missouri campaigns. Brad, this story also pairs nicely with another one that we'll categorize as story number 2 today from KMOV. Now, KMOV went to, that's Channel 4 in St. Louis, and they're syndicated. This content is syndicated across the state. They went to Governor Kehoe and said, Governor Kehoe, why are you passing this sick leave thing when voters already made their voice heard? And Kehoe said, hey, we have a lot of out-of-state money that influences elections. We're going to do what's right for the state of Missouri. So Channel 4 went out and looked at what actually went on and who funded what, and they dug into the contributions of folks who gave money to that pro-union Proposition A. They found that 1630 Fund was a top donor, and 1630 Fund is a, quote, left-leaning group based out of Washington, D.C., known to receive funding from a Swiss billionaire. That group donated more than $3.5 million to Proposition A. So as everybody knows, Brad, the Proposition A campaign wasn't run on Missouri money. Sick leave and minimum wage wasn't run on Missouri money by Missouri people. It was a bunch of money came in from either foreign nationals or national union groups. So both Denny Hoskins on Marc Cox's show and KMOV are pointing out the fact that we still have a ton of out-of-state money coming in. Brad, I'm sure you'll be able to blame this on Bill Eigel and the Freedom Caucus, and I would disagree, but it does show that people pay attention to the fact that foreign money comes in here and buys elections.
Well, in the case of Jason Law, it's foreign county money, but that's a whole other story. You always get mad at me when I bring that up, right?
I don't get mad at you. I think it's a ridiculous and amateur opinion, but I'm used to that, Brad, after 20 months with you.
John, I love you too. Are you ready for number 1?
I sure am.
The number 1.
Speaking of both professional and amateur opinions, Senator Eric Schmitt weighed in on drones, Brad. I think this is a topic that you and I have not ever discussed on this show. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Let me clarify my pronouns here. He, Senator Schmitt, is a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he asked Stephen Willoughby from the Department of Homeland Security about the threat level of drones and counter security measures at big events, like big sporting events. I should point out that this story is brought to us by Marshall Griffin of the Missouri Net. And Senator Schmitt asked, hey, what's the difference between protecting people at the Super Bowl versus a Mizzou-Alabama game in October? And he pressed this gentleman from Department of Homeland Security on this stuff. And Brad, this is going to shock you because I don't think you've ever mentioned this before. Mr. Willoughby says that when it comes to drug cartels, they are purchasing their drones from Walmart and Amazon. You know, most of them are off-the-shelf products that you could get in any store and online. So, Brad, I don't think you've ever mentioned this before, but did you know that bad actors could go and simply order drones off of Amazon and use them for nefarious purposes?
John, you're making fun of me because I talk about this all the time.
Do you, Brett, is there maybe an acronym like AW that would describe a sort of battle,
John,
that is not symmetrical?
You think I'm kidding about this? This is the exact example of asymmetrical warfare. I mean, here.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. And what is asymmetrical warfare, Brett?
John, have you been on 170 north of 70 recently? Have you been up like?
No, I value my life and my future, so I don't drive there.
Okay, let me give you a little insight in here. If you remember back in the day, do you by any chance remember where Berkeley Senior High was and Berkeley Junior High? You remember where that was?
I don't remember where Berkeley High was, actually. I don't. So you would take 170 north. Where would you get off?
Okay, Berkeley Senior High was right across the street from McDonnell Douglas Complex. Right now, it would have been west of 170 and south of Airport Road, okay?
Got it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
There is a huge, monstrous facility rising from the ground. Okay, and it's a great big steel frame that's probably, I don't know, 100, 150 feet tall. It's going to be a huge monster manufacturing building. And guess what they're going to build in that building, John?
They're going to build new bridges to go over Coldwater Creek.
No, they're building the new F-47 fighter. That's going to be the campus for the new F-47 fighter, okay?
So why couldn't you just fly a drone over it, Brad?
Well, John, the point I'm making is here we are stuck in this mindset. John, have you ever talked about the Revolutionary War when the British soldiers in red coats and lined up and our guys got in trees?
That was when they went down to the Vianney campus and waged war against a gentle, kind, caring religious channel, right?
See, this is the problem with this is that Eric Schmitt is good at questioning this dude, but if the guy was honest, the Homeland Security guy was honest, you know what his response would have been?
What's that?
We have no defense against a rogue person, group, whatever they are, a bunch of nutbags who would buy a Walmart drone or an Amazon drone and weaponize it and fly it into the crowd at the Superdome or at the Super Bowl or the Mizzou Alabama game. They can't defend against that. They can't. And if they say they can, they're lying. It doesn't exist. Matter of fact, to the point where there's interesting, I saw an interesting video from a guy who does this professionally, and there are some things where you can get licenses from the FAA to do this kind of stuff, it's like almost like a Goodyear blimp kind of thing. And he essentially said, he was asked, what if there was a rogue drone that was approaching an event like this? And he said, according to Federal Aviation Administrations, you can't shoot it down. It's against the law.
You've mentioned that before, Brad, and we should give this gentleman credit, though, because when Schmitt asked him, he said, whether it's an NCAA football game or another NFL game during the regular season, that federal presence is not there, which means the resources and capabilities and countermeasures are also not there.
Right.
So let's give him credit for saying that he acknowledges that there's no countermeasures ready to go in the event of one of these attacks.
There's nothing they can do. And the interesting part of it is, what's interesting, we're going a little bit late. Can I just say one more thing here, which is,
yeah, please do.
Okay, remember, I said last week that you wake up in the morning and you hear, well, this morning Russia flew 400 killer drones against Ukraine and 2 people were killed. First off, any loss of life or any injuries is horrendous, okay? But secondly, when you think about it, if you fly 400 drones and 2 people are killed, back in the day in World War II, we dropped 1 bomb and hundreds of people would be killed by 1 bomb, okay? And I heard an expert say, it's all about intimidation. He said that what's happening is the Russians are wearing down the will of the Ukrainians by the fact that when they hear these drones come whizzing in, people go, oh my God, it's the drones again, they're going to kill us. And then they go like, this has got to stop. Vladimir Zelensky, whatever your name is, surrender, let Russia take us over. And I thought to myself, I never thought of that. It's all
That's true. And that reminds me of, I saw one of your letters at fccdata.org, which pointed out that you're actually sending what you call whizzing drones to KFUO, but they actually whiz on the building, if you know what I mean.
Yes, they do. I have my deer urine that I buy at Bass Pro, and I put that in there. No, I
read that in a Facebook comment on your page, Brad. It was from another guy that didn't understand sarcasm. So what can I say?
John stalking me online. Okay.
I had no idea that Boomer Facebook could be so entertaining.
You see what you're missing, John? Okay, we have to take a break.